Another episode, courtesy GQC Studios. Today we have three guests with me. I want to call them legends. I'll start from my right, Jamie the creator. So, welcome to the show.
It's your boy.
And from my left, I have a superstar, Chicalila. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And last but not the least, I have my homeboy, Vison. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
How's everyone doing today?
I'm excited. I'm ready. For any questions you got for me, I'm up for it.
Oh shit, you ready? How about we start from you then? So, Chicalila, welcome. First of all, what does that mean, Chicalila?
It means purple girl.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You wear a lot of purple.
Yeah, this time I didn't, but it's just because, you gotta match the shoes. You gotta, coordinate sometimes. But it started off, I think, 2-3 years ago. And I mean, I've always loved the color purple, but my grandma, it was also her favorite color. And then she passed away, so I thought, okay, let me have her, with me every day by doing something that I also love, which is wearing purple, and which is what she also loves,
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's happy. It looks good on you too.
Thank you.
I think you keep going.
I try to make it work.
Nice. Where are you from, Chicalila?
I'm from Spain originally. I was born there, but I'm a bit all over technically. But I just say Spanish, it's easier.
Okay, Spanish, but I'm guessing you lived in the Netherlands for a while.
Yeah, I was born in Spain, lived there around 3-4 years. Then I went to Brussels, then to Holland, and then to Morocco, and then to Holland. So I traveled a whole lot.
You've been around.
Yeah, definitely. Experienced any kind of culture you can have, any kind of food. So I'm definitely happy with that. I can say I'm privileged.
Yeah. Have you had African food though?
Of course. What kind of African food?
What kind did you have?
Oof. Okay, well, my top fave, I'm gonna have to say, is Nigerian jollof.
Damn.
I know there's like a whole debate about how there's like Nigerian and where was it? Ghanaian. Yeah. The best.
That topic is going to bring so many problems. So let's just leave it. Like Nigerian jollof. Okay, cool.
You can see the beef.
Have you tasted Cameroonian jollof before?
I'm gonna have to say no. So maybe I am biased, I guess, because I haven't tasted everything.
Okay, you need to taste it.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have a little potluck, all of us, bring our own food.
Okay, you're gonna have like 3 pots of jollof.
Perfect, never too much.
Vison, why do Cameroonians have beef? When it comes to that jollof, as soon as you said it, I could see your face change already. You're like,
bro, come on, man. It depends, man. It depends on who is eating the food. That's what I think.
but have you had Nigerian jollof?
I've had pure Nigerian jollof, of course.
Is it?
Yeah. Bro, I have so many Nigerian friends.
How many types of jollof have you had from like how many countries?
I've had Cameroon, Ghana, Niger, Sierra Leone.
Okay. Do a little ranking real quick.
Sorry?
Do a little ranking, which is the best.
To be honest, I cannot tell you which is the best because I enjoyed all of them on the same level but in different ways. Some of them are more spicy, some of them have more garlic, some of them are sometimes with chicken or without chicken or with fish. So it depends on,
Okay, that's a very
every country has its own vibe, so I cannot,
fair.
For me it's like, everything is nice.
I hear that.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't know. I've only had Nigerian, so I'll stick with my Nigerian. I think I don't know why people argue about this, but I'll stick with my Nigerians. Shout out to them.
You need to come with us, let me give you Cameroonian food.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope you guys have had Spanish food as well.
Actually, I haven't.
No? That hurts my heart.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you guys need to have paella, that's like the one thing that will really treat your soul. You'll feel blessed.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm ready. Man, I think if you could have Indian food, you could have anything.
That's true.
Honestly. Let's talk about music a little bit. We'll start from you, Vison.
Of course. Alright.
What's music to you, bro?
Bro, that's a very...
That's a very nice question.
Deep question.
That's a very,
That's
very
philosophical.
Deep question.
Open question.
Son it!
But let me put it like this. For me, music is life. Music is waking up in the morning, brushing my mouth. Music is taking a shower. Music is eating. Music is living. Music is dancing.
Everything.
Music is love. Music is anger. Music is frustration. Music is sadness. Music is... You can draw music from everything. That's how I look at music. So I approach it like it's part of me. We communicate together. And if that is beautiful, another person is able to connect to it. That's how I look at music. That's music to me.
Nice. What about you, Dom, the creator?
I don't like music is literally everything you said, bro. Like music is, it's a crazy tool. Like when I like to explain what music is to me, I like usually go back to, I think it was a few years ago, where I was like going through hella shit. Like I could barely sleep at night and stuff like that. And what I would do is like I would just turn up Brent Fires on my
the toxic one.
Hey, look man, it's just the streets calling my boy toxic. I just think he just speaks the truth, and I respect that. Like I'll just turn up like a playlist that would go the entire night. Brent, Giveon, SZA, Kalani, like just
Jasmine Sullivan, all that kind of.
I'm not gonna lie, he's not on that playlist. I don't have him. I'm sorry.
It's a woman as well.
Well,
Well, if you love
now
R&B,
you know.
then you should listen to her.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll give it a listen. But like, yeah, I think music for me is just something that like takes me back to neutral whenever I'm like a little bit too extreme in my emotions and stuff. Just something to like keep me flowing and keep me going.
Keep it going, yeah. You spoke about R&B. You listen to a lot of R&B.
I say I listen to, I'm all over the place, honestly. I would listen to R&B, I'll listen, most of the time I listen to trap. My favorite,
Trap.
Is it?
Young Thug, 42
Oh, really?
Dog, yeah, Lil Baby. Like all these people, like my favorites. But obviously I will listen to any type of, even reggaeton, obviously, blues, jazz. I fuck with any kind of music, but trap is mostly what I listen to.
Do you listen to Afrobeat?
Of course, yeah.
So you like whiskey?
Can't forget
Burna Boy?
Rema.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Of course.
Of course. Rema's an issue right now, bro.
Rema is a
Has
problem,
an issue, bro.
Listen, it's got to the point that even if
It's
you
crazy.
don't like him, he's just in your face.
He's there.
Every day, man.
He's
Just the
there.
promotion
His concerts,
everywhere.
his concerts are a mess.
What about NSG? You guys listen to NSG?
I don't even know who that is.
It's a group.
British Afro.
Yeah, British
rap.
Afro.
Yeah. They were actually here
You
recently.
don't know anything?
Oh yeah, they were this year,
I
no?
went to see.
Oh shit, I was
It was
there.
literally right next to this area because it was in the north.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Had a good time?
It's
I don't know.
amazing.
Since I started like making music, I don't listen to a lot of people anymore. I literally don't listen to anything anymore.
No, you definitely know energy. Probably you don't know them, but
Yeah,
You
you
know,
know.
you know
options.
some songs.
Options, no, I don't know, man.
You know some songs.
We'll have to play it and then you'll know it. I think
Yeah,
once you hear
It's
it.
one of those
Maybe.
ones.
Exactly.
Actually, I might know her as well. Just could be I don't know her name.
The Jasmine Sullivan.
Yeah.
That's alright.
Which one?
I bust
Sing
you-
it for us.
I bust your windows off your car, something like that.
Oh yeah, but
I
that's
bust your windows off your car, something like
that's
that.
someone else, right? Or no? Maybe that's
I don't know, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry if I got it wrong.
because we mixing NSG, we mixing Jasmine Sullivan now.
That's okay.
Energy is UK vibes.
Nah, I hear it. Do you listen to grime?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Grime's
Sometimes.
crazy, bro.
Yeah, but I like it. It's very, bro. I like it.
Grime
I
is,
like it. I
grime,
like what
grime
I'm
is how you
doing.
get arrested.
Or drill.
That's how you get
Yeah, I like
arrested.
it too.
Some crazy things.
But drill and grime, you see that as mostly like UK music.
Yeah.
You don't see that a lot here in Holland, at least.
They try.
They try,
They
but like,
attempt
it
it. It's
doesn't
just,
get
it's
promoted.
not
enough.
it. Nah, I've heard some of it, and it's just like, no. No.
stop.
The Dutch language and the beats, just, no.
No, I get
Well,
that.
the thing is, with this kind of genre of music, for me, it's a bit limited because we keep talking about the same thing.
The same
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
It's the same thing over
True.
and over. Yeah. They bring it in so many different and creative ways, but it's still the same thing.
Yeah, it's still shank your mom.
I mean,
And
Yes,
Of course,
and
you
violence
bounce
and
to
shit
it
like
and not
that.
to it, but still the same thing.
Yo, what do you think can be done? Because the majority, this type of songs we just explained, trap, grime, the content is usually negative. It's usually, they're not rapping about good shit. That bothers me. I don't know. Does that bother anyone here?
I mean,
I think it's a bit complicated because for me, it's a situation of like I understand why this form of music exists because it is negative, but it exists for a reason, and
What's the reason?
I don't think it's not a coincidence that most people who do really good in this genre are black people, and it has to do with like the societies that they grew up in and like the decisions that they are more or less forced to make because of like how unfortunately society is built at the moment. So it's just they just happen to be in those situations a lot more. And music is a form of expression for a lot of people.
yeah.
And sometimes some of these they probably can't sleep, and so they just this is their life. Like this is them to some extent.
Yeah.
They may not like it, but it's how life is
That's
for them at
reality
the
for them,
moment.
yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of people use like their own experiences and put it into their music, and then that's how they make their music. Not everyone, but a lot of people. So then sometimes it can be negative, sometimes it can be positive. But in the end, if you're telling your story, that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
If you're telling it with a nice flow, then even better.
I don't really think that the music itself is negative. But what I can say is that probably what they push and what they create using that music will have negative effects.
Yeah.
So like, for example, if you have grime, let's say, there is grime that talks about like violence, killing people. There's also grime that is also very smart. There's grime that is also religious. There's grime that is telling you about how to build, how to create. There's grime that is motivational. But that is not what is being promoted, but what is being promoted is the songs that actually portray violence, or they're talking about clip, shoot.
Yeah. And I think
And that's what is being promoted, and that is what creates a negative effect.
Yeah.
But the music itself is what they are. They are just like expressing themselves, of course.
Because at the end of the day, music is just a canvas. Like, you can't. I personally believe that you can't make good or bad art. You just make art, and music is art. So like, music is the canvas, and whatever you put on there is just what it's on there. And it's obviously left to whoever perceives it as to decide if this is good, bad, negative, positive, or whatever you want to attach to it. But like as you said, what's being promoted to the music, in these genres are mostly the violent stuff, and like it's quite sad in that sense, because I also saw like an interview recently, I can't remember who exactly, but it was essentially just saying that what happens in these boardrooms when it comes to like whose music gets pushed and whose doesn't, they intentionally push a lot of this negative stuff, and they intentionally push it the way that they do.
Yeah, I mean, you see what you just said, the fact that they intentionally push this type of music. You know, we could say, music is just art, they're saying what they feel. But like, these things have impacts in people. I will say this for myself personally. I said this in the last episode. Just from hearing songs like filled with negativity and violence and stuff. I heard this song one time and I was just saying gang shit basically. That's not even my reality, but like I've listened to them so much that I found myself rapping like them. You get me? And I said these things, and it took a while to get over that song, because I knew like, man, this isn't me. Like, what am I saying? The point is, in as much as you could say yes, this was their reality, so that's what they're singing about. What about the top level ones, the ones that have actually made it out? You guys have money now. You're living in rich communities, but you're still talking about the same things. What's the excuse then?
It's the formula, the algorithm.
That's the thing. If you're like talking something about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot down these people in the song, but then you don't do any of that kind of stuff. You don't have a gun. You don't have any of that stuff. Then it's just kind of then it makes you look more fake, the person who would do that. Because then if you're talking fake shit, and then other people who have lived that see you or hear you talk about that when they know that you haven't, then it will be seen more negatively, I would say.
Yeah, I get that, but like, I don't know, man. I just feel like I said, you're impacting people. It's just music, but it's going. There's some kids that have not yet matured, but are listening to you, that are taking these things you are saying, and they want to go do those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I mean, and then when something crazy happens, when something crazy happens, some shooting or something, and someone loses his life and whatnot, we're back here again.
Yeah, fact.
But we're hearing these things every day.
But bro, the truth is that you cannot really predict what people would do with music.
I mean,
so I can sit here and sing a song. Oh, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. And the happy song makes somebody else sad. Don't you know that? Like somebody who is depressed will be like, why are all these people so happy? And that makes it crazy. Like it depends. Music is just how you react to it. If you decide that okay, you're going to listen to people talking about how they shoot people, or talking about how they buried 3-7 bodies, and you decide to go bury 3-7 bodies, that's a decision that you made. And I think that anybody who's listening to music should be able to understand that music is entertainment.
Yeah, true.
Music is complete entertainment.
Yeah.
We use that to entertain people, and at the same time you can educate people.
Yeah.
At the same time you can change emotions. So the main thing that we do music for is entertainment. So if you just listen to music for entertainment,
that's it. Because here's this other point of view in terms of like the art affecting other people to make certain actions, is that in movies, for instance, there are a lot of movies that are not based on real life actions or experiences, like, or at least they don't disclaim that. But what's in these movies are like very messed up things like pedophilia, mass murders. It's like there are movies like that where you see some things being described very vividly, and it's like, how did you think about that off the top of your head? For you to come up with this concept for a movie or like this plot, they shouldn't come to you naturally.
Yeah.
Unless you've actually done it, and no one questions my man who directs, writes, and do all of this stuff for those types of movies.
Never underestimate the power of your imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
But still, it's like, why is your imagination doing that thing? Like that's, and I think that that's kind of the same. Or I think we should kind of keep the same energy for music, for musicians as well, because, so like,
they could also just make these things or make up a scenario.
There are a lot of
make music out of
Rick Ross, when he hopped into the scene, he basically made it big by rapping about being the biggest drug dealer and shit like that.
Yeah.
But the artists barely recognize him as a drug. Everyone thinks he's fake. So.
Oh really? Rick
yeah.
Ross?
Yeah. There's other rappers who've literally said on Genius interviews, they're like, they rap their line and they're like, yeah, I actually don't do this shit, bro. This is just to blow and shit like that. So like that happens as well in the music community. And for movies, it's like, okay, there are a lot of movies that show killings and shit like that. So if we can say that music makes, like grime for instance, makes kids in the UK turn into gang violence and shanking and shit like that, why is it that we watch movies and we're like, we don't make the same comments about these movies?
Then you could say the same thing about video games, because
exactly.
you're playing like what Call of Duty, you're killing
Mortal
a bunch
Kombat.
of people.
Yeah. It's like, where's, like where do we want to draw the line? And I think that's like a very complex decision to make.
I think it's just because artists, musicians, I guess it's more personal with your listeners and fans, because most likely they like your music, they might like you too, like your personality, they might follow you on Instagram and all that. Hearing you sing, about what you're going through, it almost feels like you know what is going on in an artist's life. It's personal, sort of. So I feel like that's why it has a higher effect than watching a movie, because you go into the movie knowing, I'm going to spend the next 2 hours watching this movie. But an artist, you listen to a song like throughout your life, basically.
That's the thing. Usually people listen to music that relates to them, or is somehow, you know, relatable. Like, you know, the Summer Walker's album Over It, you know, it's about breaking up. A lot of girls will listen to it if they've just broken up or have been in a toxic relationship, all those kind of things. Same things for like other albums, you know, they focus on something specific that they know like a certain amount of people will listen to it, you know?
Yeah.
Even if the others will listen to it as well, they know that these people will listen to it. And I think like that's also like an idea with a lot of artists, like they focus on a specific genre and a specific theme when they're putting out albums or singles and everything, so they know what kind of people they want to, you know, make the music for specifically.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's also this thing is like, okay, so a lot of the rappers that I guess we listen to, trap artists, and a lot of them started off from very poor families. So now just imagine a very poor kid who's trying to make it big, get out of the hood and all of that, and he sees that what sells or like what people listen to or gravitate towards is like this type of content. And for some of them, they also happen to be in that situation themselves, and they can make authentic music about that also because they're like from very poor families and stuff like that. So it's like, I think in that type of situation, it kind of makes sense that they end up making that type of art, because it's like they're trying to make it out. And to some extent, I think consumers are also, like us, the listeners, are also partially at fault or like partially responsible for the type of music that gets released. Because if we keep listening and paying money for that, they're gonna keep producing it.
Keep making them,
But also there are other artists that are not talking about violence, but they rap. So why don't people listen to those people instead of listening to the violence?
I mean, we have artists who still like lyricists like Kendrick or J. Cole. J. Cole will rap so much in one song, and then he will talk about like technically violence in some way, but not in the way that others will talk about it, you know? More in like a thoughtful way, like in a, okay, I need to think about this, I need to talk about this too.
Those guys are big. J. Cole and Kendrick are big.
Yeah.
So the question is...
But they've always been like that. Even before they made it, they were still talking about this topics. You get me? It kind of makes me think. I'm sure they were not so rich, J. Cole and I watched an interview with J. Cole and how he couldn't pay rent and stuff like that. I'm sure they grew up hard too. But why were they rapping the way they were rapping? I don't know, man. I just feel like it feels like just music, but it's, bro, music shapes lives. Like, you get me? These people that just grow up not knowing nothing about, you know, the gangster lifestyle, but just from hearing their favorite rapper do that, they just want to know. It's like smoking weed, like.
The thing is that
it's like
gangs have been in the US for so long that when something exists for so long, it can turn into a norm or a culture.
Yeah, I feel like that's where we are now. It's a norm. But why?
If there are so many gangs, of course it's going to be music that comes out from there that is violent.
But the thing is, there's gangs there, but there's gangs here too. Like, we had the Crips and the Bloods here as well, believe it or not, in Holland.
In Netherlands?
Yeah.
Really?
It's crazy, yeah. But we had that shit here too. And then you don't see a bunch of rappers who are famous rapping about being, you know, like wearing blue or wearing red, etc. You just, you know, you see it. There are definitely, but like not the most famous ones. Like, you don't see Frena talk about that shit too much, you know?
No, but Frena is not really a gangster rapper.
Yeah, that's true. Like, he calls himself a gangster, but...
There are gangster rappers, like, I don't know their names. The things I listen to Dutch music, but I don't keep the names of the artists. But I've listened to artists like that are speaking about street shit, and when you watch the video, you see them doing like exactly like that.
Yeah, I like her.
And recently I saw another one. Like, I don't remember the name. It was like a black and white video, and the whole thing was just about how they were robbing a place.
Damn.
It was a dope song, crazy, but it was just gang shit, and that's Netherlands. And I've watched a lot of movies too, like on Netflix. That is Netherlands, and it's gang shit. So they're gangs here.
Oh, you mean Makro Mafia?
I've watched that. You see what I'm talking about?
That shit is as well, like that same exact thing, like all the story behind that is kind of true, but like based in other cities and everything.
Exactly.
Like, so I think that is quite interesting how they put an actual true story into it, yeah.
So they have gangs here, of course, and there's still gangster music. Anywhere that you go to, that they have
They
gangs,
also,
or they have a particular kind of community, you hear that kind of music coming out from there. And now it depends on when it comes out, what are the media companies choosing to give to you.
Yeah.
So if the gang culture is what everybody wants, of course that's what they'll feed you, and they'll feed you a lot of it.
Because look, I don't know, like, not to get too political, like, something else that I like recently found out, like, from some studies and shit, is that the media, especially in the US, to say I don't know about like Netherlands, but like in the US, a lot of these gangster rap, trap music are being pushed by the people the people who make the decisions about who to sponsor and shit like that, are being pushed intentionally, especially into like black communities, because they know we're gonna listen, and they know it's also a lot easier for like people from those communities to make those type of music really well, because they probably live that life, they probably are part of that shit, and they keep pushing this because it's like, you're not gonna hear Timmy from the suburbs listening to my man saying, I'm gonna shank your mom. He is not listening to that. Like he's listening to Taylor Swift. He's listening to Taylor Swift.
What's Taylor Swift always the reference?
No offense. She's like peak white music for me. She's like peak suburban white music for me. So like they keep pushing these types of contents. It's like literally, it's like crack in the 80s, literally. Like that's the best reference I can give. Crack in the 80s was heavily pushed into black communities.
Lately's been different though, because like, what's that guy, the one with the ginger head white boy in the UK? Like, come on, be my baby. What's that guy name?
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran. There you go.
Yeah,
like, he's now making music with drill artists and like getting into that kind of music scene. So they're kind of, now they're diverging and like putting new different themes. Or, like,
Ed Sheeran also,
I
don't think Ed Sheeran is like a suburban kid, to be fair. I think he
like usually does pop.
That's something that I kind of respect in the UK as well, in comparison to like the US, is that there isn't that big of a divide between people who make the type of music that Sharon does and like drill artists and stuff, and also drill artists, especially the big ones like Stormzy and them, man. Like, they're trying to make good shit now. Like they're realizing, like, understanding how certain type of content is. It speaks the truth of the black community, but at the same time, it hurts the black community, because even though that is the truth for a lot of people, you don't want to, what's the word, like, glorify it.
Yeah.
And they are trying to like make better steps in that sense. But like, yeah, there's a lot of issues to be addressed. It's like, what are you gonna get to first? I think there's also that aspect of things to like look at and think about.
Batman.